Alright, today I'm going to analyze a Badugi hand for you guys that I played at 1224 limits at the Bicycle Hotel and Casino in Bell Gardens, California near Los Angeles. So in this hand we're in the small blind and the relevant opponent is on the button and everyone else ends up folding, so we won't even deal them a hand. Folds around to the button then and they go ahead and raise to 8 chips, 12, what is this? $24. And we are on the small blind with a Queen Badugi. So that's Queen of Spades, Jack of Diamonds, 4 of Clubs, 6 of Hearts. A Badugi is any hand with 4 unique ranks and 4 different suits, which is exactly what we have here. The chance of getting dealt a Badugi pre-draw before any draws take place is about 1 in 16, 1 in 17, so a pretty hard hand to get. Definitely a strong hand against a loose button opening range, and we go ahead and 3-bet. Now, although a Queen Badugi isn't very strong, you want to be drawing to, a 7 Badugi or better, usually. Really a 6 Badugi or better. In this situation, we still 3-bet because we want to disguise the strength of our hand. We don't want our opponent to know that we have a somewhat weak Badugi. That's going to make it easier to play against us later. So we go ahead and 3-bet like we would with any strong Badugi. This also helps get the big blind to fold, which is exactly what happens here. So it's one less player drawing against us that we have to worry about, and the button goes ahead and calls. We talked about the hand later with the opponent, so we do know what they had here, and it was an ace 8-4 with the deuce of diamond. The diamond is what we call a blocker in this game, since the deuce of diamond is a useful card. The opponent can anticipate other players wanting this card, so the fact they hold it, even if they're going to be throwing it away since they have the ace, it does slightly improve the strength of their hand. So we 3-bet, the opponent calls, we go ahead and pat, meaning we're drawing none. A quick note on why we don't draw to, say, the 6. Heads up, a Queen Badugi is much better than a 2-card draw. And our opponent goes ahead and throws away their deuce, drawing 1. We go ahead and bet with while our opponent is getting dealt their card, which ends up being the 7 of diamonds. Again, this doesn't improve their hand, but it is another diamond blocker. So at this point, they've seen 3 low diamonds, which makes my opponent suspect that maybe my hand isn't so strong. For that reason, and the fact that my small blind raising range might be a little weak, even including some bluffs, they go ahead and try a sneaky move here by raising on the first draw. They're hoping with this bet that I either break my hand or just fold immediately, but wary that my opponent might be up to something, maybe even raising with the worst Badugi. If they caught a king or something, we would go ahead and call and stay pat. This troubles my opponent a little bit as they say, okay, nice move, and they go ahead and throw away their newly found 7 of diamonds. So again, we have a 4-card hand against their 1-card draw. We can go ahead and bet as the next card is dealt. This time my opponent catches good, the 6 of clubs, completes their 8 Badugi. They have an 8-6-4 ace Badugi, very strong, especially against a pre-draw Badugi. So of course they go ahead and raise here, 16 chips, $48, and now we are at the key decision point in this hand. Our hand is pretty weak facing this action. It's certainly unlikely that my opponent's going to try the same trick twice on us, raising a non-Badugi, trying to get us to fold. Also unlikely is them to raise a king Badugi here, because I think a better play in their shoes would just be to freeze us, which is just call with their king Badugi. Once we pat, they can pat behind and hope that their king 8 is better than whatever king Badugi maybe I was raising up the small blind with. So our Queen Badugi is either good and they don't have a Badugi at all, or more likely they did make their hand or some kind of hand and we're behind. So we have a couple of options. We can either just fold immediately saying, it's not worth it, we don't have much of a drawing hand, and being done with it, or we can make a couple of drawing decisions here. The first option would be to throw away the queen and draw to a jack 6 Badugi. Now, a jack isn't that much better than a queen. There is quite a gap between them, a lot of hands in between, but it's not much of an improvement for us to go ahead and break our made hand and try to make a new one. So the decision I'm really thinking about is throwing away both the queen and the jack and drawing 2 cards. Now, usually you don't want to be drawing 2 cards on the last draw. In fact, if someone has a Badugi and it's the last draw in a normal pot, a single bet on each street, and you have any draw at all, you might want to just fold. Usually you do. But here we have the situation where the pot has gone pretty big at this point. We had a 3-bet pre-flop, a raise on the first draw, and a raise on the second draw. So with a couple $100 out there and only 24 more for us to call, we go ahead and decide we're going to try to draw 2. We don't have much of an expectation to win this hand, but one sneaky way that we might be able to win is if we improve to a nice 3 card, we can go ahead and hero call the river, hoping that our opponent was bluffing. There's enough out there that we really do need to keep them honest at this point. So we place the call in the middle, and we go ahead and throw 2 cards away, to which our opponent is obviously pretty happy about. They're far ahead of with whatever they have, and they go ahead and pat. At this point, I go ahead and check it over, expecting no matter what our opponent has, they're going to be betting it against a 2-card draw. They're a serious favorite, and as I declared already, I'd probably be calling even with a 3 card, so a king Badugi, which we kind of eliminated from their range, but a good queen or jack is probably going to be betting there. So even if we make our hand, we're going to be able to put in the check raise anyways, so we do check it over to them. And this wouldn't be a fun poker hand that I'm trying to share with you guys if we didn't catch 2 jokers here. The 3 of diamonds and the 5 of spades makes us a 6-5-4-3 Badugi. Incredibly strong hand, especially given the action. So when our opponent places the bet out, we laugh a little bit and go ahead and raise them up. In limit, we don't have to be Hollywood poker face, robots. We get to have a little fun here and say, oh my gosh, we got so lucky. We know what's about to happen. Our opponent's going to shrug and call and say, wow, what'd you get? How'd you get so lucky on me? Let's see it. And when we show our 6, they say, wow, incredible. How could it be? But they have to remember this was a suck and re-suck situation already. We started with the best hand. They improved past us, and then we improved again. So classic poker hand where one player was leading and then the other and the other. So some exciting stuff. Certainly something I thought was worth sharing here on the vlog. Also a good opportunity to show some of the nuances of Badugi play, starting with pre-hand selection, also so how the bet decisions can influence the draw decisions, and how some of those draw decisions often are forks in the decision tree that create a lot of possibilities for each hand. So a fun game. If you've never played Badugi or any draw game before, I highly recommend it. The 12-24 game at the bicycle is the lowest limit that I've seen it played at, besides online, where I have played a little bit of play money on PokerStars and for 40 cent, 80 cent on seals with clubs. But besides that, you're going to need to drive over to Bell Gardens and sit with us and play the great game of Badugi. If you haven't already, follow Fishies Poker on Instagram, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. What would you like to see in the next vlog? Until then, I'll see you guys next time.